Well, it's similar to Donald Trump. You know, you may or may not agree with everything that Donald Trump is saying, but one thing that we can agree on, or maybe agree on, is that he's flushing the commode of American politics. He's taking out the Bushes in the Republican Party, and he's going to take on Hillary Clinton in the general election. And I think that Donald Trump will take Hillary Clinton and throw her head first down the staircase in American politics.
Now, while Ted Cruz believes that once the low information Trump voters are more informed, then they will vote for him. Take a listen to this.
Donald does well with voters who have relatively low information, who are not that engaged and who are angry, and they see him as an angry voice. Mm-hmm. Where we are beating him is when voters get more engaged and they get more informed. When they inform themselves, they realize his record. He's what they're angry at.
All right, so we're going to bring in Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect, and get his take, because Robert Morrow is our newly elected leader on the Republican Party. So, Robert Morrow, welcome to Come and Talk It, sir. How you doing?
Hey, it's an honor to be here, Michael.
Outstanding. So tell us a little bit first about yourself, and, were you born here in Austin, Texas?
Well, I'm a native of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I graduated in the 80s. I went to Princeton University, got a degree in 1987. I have an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin in 1990. I moved back to Alabama, worked at a family commercial real estate firm for about 4 years. Moved back here in December 1994, and I've been here in beautiful Austin, Texas ever since.
Outstanding. So you're highly educated, and you've traveled around a little bit across the United States, back and forth from Alabama to Texas. So you're really, knowledgeable about what's going on in politics.
Well, I read a lot. I have several thousand books on politics and history. I have a lot of political friends. I'm a libertarian activist. I work with many local issues. I know of a lot of the activists and a few of the politicians.
All right. So now, how did you come to win the Travis County Republican Party chair election?
Well, it was a fluke. My name was listed first on the ballot. I'm well known in Republican Party circles for, basically going at the throat of the Rick Perry faction, the George Bush faction, the Rhino faction, the big government faction, the sexual hypocrite faction of the Republican Party. I don't hold back. I look over the Democrats. I see how they have never, ever removed the Clintons or held them accountable for all their crimes and crudities and vulgarities and just nasty behavior. On the Republican side, I see that as a problem, too, with the Republicans' party continual tolerance of the Bush family.
Now, why do you say continuing tolerance of the Bush family?
Well, it just blew my... If the listeners want to know why the voters are so mad and mind-boggled, they just cannot believe we're in the year 2016 and there was Jeb Bush on the Republican side running for president and Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side running for president. I mean, those pair of vipers have been in the Republican Party, have been in national politics since 1980 in the case of the Bushes, since 1992 in the case of the Clintons. After all those criminals have done, all the many things, Hillary murdering 76 people at Waco, Bill, serial rapist, serial sexual predator, Hillary hiring nasty private detectives, Bush family up to their eyeballs running drugs during Iran-Contra. After all that, the nerve of those two crime families to put a Bush and a Clinton both on the ballot in 2016. That's part of what the revulsion you're seeing from the voters is.
So people are just really frustrated. And so we're going to, that extreme.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you why, because I've kind of thought about this, why they're so, mad, angry, frustrated, disgusted with American politics, as I am as well. And it's important for folks to know, even though I'm the Republican, Travis County Republican Party chair-elect, I'm not a hack of the Republican Party. I will go after the criminal vipers who've been running the Republican Party. For example, so in 2000, we elected George W. Bush, and I voted for him, okay? He gave us the Iraq War. Wow. A $1 trillion mistake. Thousands of Americans dead. 100,000 plus Iraqis dead. And it completely destabilized Middle East, Iraq, pretty much controlled by Iran now. So that, the Iraq War, gave us who? Barack Obama. Barack Obama gave us what? Obamacare, which no Republican voted for. No U.S. Senate Republican, no U.S. House Republican. It was shoved down the throat of the American people. So it goes to the Supreme Court. And the Chief Justice on the Supreme Court is another piece of vermin named John Roberts, who was appointed by George Bush. You thought you'd get a good conservative judge out of George Bush? Sorry. You got a tool of the criminal power elite who had two chances to knock down Obamacare and didn't. So you're being screwed by the Republicans, Iraq War, screwed by the Democrats, Obama, and screwed by your Supreme Court, John Roberts, who illegally held up a law that says you must buy health insurance. That's not in the Constitution.
Also, and if you don't buy the health insurance, you're going to be fined.
Yeah, it's completely, any fool would know that is completely unconstitutional. Yet you had a Republican-appointed judge by George W. Bush shoving Obamacare down your throat again twice that no Republican voted for, and it is clearly unconstitutional. So you wonder why the voters are mad? Because the Republican Party gives you the Iraq War, and the Democratic Party gives you Obamacare, and the Supreme Court upholds a criminal law, which is Obamacare.
Well, I would assume that if you look at what PACs are funding the Bushes and the Clintons, I would assume that the funds are coming from similar places.
I would, without even looking, I would assume a bunch of warmongers on the Bush side and Hillary Clinton and a bunch of big government statists in both cases. That would be a good guess.
All right, so now what do you think about all this ruckus, we just witnessed over the weekend with like Chicago, St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, different places where we've had, a lot of different incidents at Trump rallies. What is your take on that?
Well, I will plead ignorance, but I'll give you a guess. If I'm allowed to guess?
Absolutely.
I would say these are probably hired leftist thugs sent out to disrupt Donald Trump rallies. I'm all for freedom of speech, but let's say Robert Morrow decided to go disrupt a Hillary Clinton rally. Do you think they'd be nice to me?
No.
No, they wouldn't. I'm the author of The Clintons' War on Women. I'm an expert on them. I have, humiliated and exposed the Clintons on so many fronts. By the way, my book is The Clintons' War on Women. You folks have got to get that. It's everything you're going to need to destroy Hillary Clinton in the general election, okay? I would not be treated well if I were disrupting a Hillary Clinton rally, I guarantee you, okay? And so what happened in Chicago with these probably paid leftist thugs shutting down a Trump rally is a national disgrace, and people should revolt against that and vote the other way.
All right, and so we're talking with Robert Morrow, and Robert's saying, he's also an author, by the way, and he wrote the book Clinton, The War on Women. So Robert, let me ask you this. Why that title, Clinton, The War on Women?
Well, it's actually called The Clintons, plural, War on Women.
Okay.
And it details all the abuse of women by both Bill and Hillary Clinton for 40 years. Bill Clinton is a serial rapist. You can read in our book that he raped his first victim at Oxford in 1969 when he raped a 19-year-old co-ed named Eileen Wellstone. It got covered up by the U.S. State Department. That's in our book, The Clintons, War on Women, on Amazon.com. His second rape that we know of, he raped a campaign volunteer named Juanita Broderick in 1978. She was interviewed on NBC in 1999. They vetted her 5 times, found her completely credible. He nearly bit her lip off. Bill Clinton bites lips when he rapes, because when you bite a lip, the woman moves her hand from protecting her private parts to her face, and it allows little Billy to plunder at will. That's Bill Clinton, rapist. He also raped Miss America Liz Ward Grayson, who was the reigning Miss America. She's from Arkansas. She was Miss Arkansas in 1982, Miss America in 1983. He raped the reigning Miss America. She has publicly never admitted it was a rape. She said it was consensual and private. She cries and tells her best friend, Judy Stokes, it was most definitely a rape, and Judy Stokes told it to the Paula Jones investigators. That's 3 rapes. Hillary knew about at least one of those. Hillary is the one who hires the nasty private detectives to run terror campaigns on Bill's sex victims and former girlfriends. It's in our book, theclintonswaronwomen.com. I'll give you just a few examples, Michael, then I'll let you get a question in. For example, everybody knows that Jennifer Flowers, or many people know that Jennifer Flowers was a longtime girlfriend of Bill Clinton that they were lying about. What they don't know is the Clintons broke into her apartment multiple times and utterly ransacked it. That is a psychological rape. When you walk into your house and all your clothes are pulled out, all your kitchen cabinets are opened up, your mattress is pulled off, your clothes are on the floor, your paperwork is pulled out, all your shoes are turned upside down, you're completely ransacked, that is a psychological rape. Thank you, Bill or Hillary Clinton. The Clintons are known for killing people's cats, like they did with Kathleen Willey. They nail-gunned her tires when she was deposed as a witness in the Paula Jones case. They beat up a guy named Gary Johnson, who was the neighbor of Jennifer Flowers, who had a security camera videotape of Bill Clinton going in there. So on and on and on again, the Clintons have used criminal activities to cover up their wildly dysfunctional Jerry Springer lifestyle.
I got a question, Robert. This is Justin with Lone Star Gun Rights. The topics you discussed in your book, now I haven't read your book, but I'm just going based off what you just discussed. It seems like these would be hard things to get average people to understand or even be able to believe. Why not attack them on some of the stuff that would be easy for people to believe? Like, for instance, when Bill Clinton set up that agency in Arkansas that was basically giving all his friends millions and millions and millions of dollars in funds or through loans they never paid back, and that they were channeling that money into his political funds and stuff like that. I mean, all that stuff seems to me like it'd be very, very easy to prove.
Well, actually, that was the Arkansas Development Finance Authority, and it was really a conduit for CIA drug money.
Yep,
and it was being manipulated by Bill Clinton's best friend at the time, Dan Laster, who was a big money launderer for the cocaine cartel, CIA affiliated in Arkansas in the 1980s. Well, I mean, what's your first name again, my friend?
This is Justin Delosh. Justin.
Well, I want to be a witness to truth, and these stories have all been suppressed. For example, the reason I wrote the book, the most important reason I wrote the book, was because I know for a fact that Bill Clinton's inner circle state troopers were beating up people in Arkansas upon his direction.
And I would certainly believe that as well, obviously, because I've done some research on the Clintons as well, and I've obviously got into the stories about them funding all these drug lords and their personal friends, and nobody ever paid the loans back.
The Bushes were the drug lords too. I'm trying to tell people that. It's the Bush, Clinton, CIA drug connection. It's not Clinton bad, Bush good, or Bush good, Clinton bad. They're in it together. And then we're talking about the bipartisan criminality of these parties and how these families are still around all these decades later. So your point is well taken that many people do not know these stories. That's why we're telling you. I'll give you an example. Chelsea Clinton, and you guys can read this in our book, The Clintons War on Women, because we got to sell some copies because I got to make some money, okay? Chelsea Clinton, people, is the daughter of Webb Hubbell and not Bill Clinton. Now, there's been 60 Clinton biographies before Robert Morrow and Roger Stone wrote The Clintons War on Women, and not one of them had told you that. A critically important piece of information about the dysfunction in the Clinton families that they've worked so hard, including using criminal tactics to cover up, that Bill Clinton is not even the father of Chelsea. Hillary was screwing both of her law partners, Vince Foster on one hand, and Webb Hubbell, the father of Chelsea, on the other.
All right, and we're talking with Robert Morrow, Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the election is over. He's been elected as the party chair. So if you believe in the process, you got to give him what he's due and let him have that position. Don't interfere, because I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It. Okay, and we're back talking with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. Now, let's go to the phone lines. AJ, you're on with Come and Talk It, sir.
Awesome. How's it going, y'all?
All right, what you got for us, AJ?
Yeah, I want to give a kudos to Robert for his win. I think it's awesome what he's shaking up and stuff. Also, I do got to give a shout out for his book. I'm about halfway through it right now, Clintons and the War on Women, and it's absolutely amazing. It's an easy read. It's well documented. It's a crazy timeline of events with witness testimonies. There's even pictures in there and stuff. And it's crazy what these people have gotten away with. And like he says, it's on both sides, the Bushes and the Clintons. But I think our biggest fight right now is going to be the Hillary Clinton race. And I think a lot of this stuff does need to come out. Like with Bill Clinton, particularly like the well-documented stuff with Orgy Island that he talks about in the book, and then also Bill's his son, his mixed race son that he's not claiming. If we can get
the son that he's abandoned, his name is Danny Williams, spelled Danney Williams. He's on both Facebook and Twitter. Critically important issue. About keep going along with your question. We'll talk about Danny Williams in a second. Okay.
Yeah, well, my point is, some of these stuff, could be easily pointed out. I know the heat's really on about the emails, on Benghazi and stuff like that, but there's a lot of other avenues of attack that I guess need to be addressed and hit hard right now, because I think the biggest threat is, obviously Clinton in the race. And then also on a side note, once you can kind of respond to that, being in Texas politics and what you've done with that, I know like you called out Rick Perry and stuff and put an ad in the paper and stuff like that. I would like to know if you have any interesting background stuff on Joe Strauss, and I guess I can take your comments off the air from here.
Okay, is that the question and the comment for now, AJ?
Yes.
Okay, a couple things. When I took out that ad on Rick Perry, it was because I knew that he was a serial adulterer with women, because I'd run into a stripper local to Austin, Texas, who told me she was dancing at a club one night, and then one of Rick Perry's friends comes in, and he gives her $500 and says, just come with me. That's just for starter money. Just come with me. So she goes outside to the limo. Remember, this is in Austin, Texas, probably in the mid-late 2000s. Okay, she's telling me this in 2009, so it probably occurred, a year or two before that. He's a governor, the governor, with a religious right profile. And she goes out to this limo, and guess who's in the back seat of it? Governor Rick Perry of Texas. And she asked her, well, what happened when you were back? We were kind of fooling around back there, and I was trying to give him oral sex, but I think he was too coked up to get it up. The governor, Rick Perry, Mr. Religious, Bible. Rick Perry's the same guy who grabbed a Bible, went out to South Carolina in 2011, held it up in the sky, and said, "Onward, Christian soldiers." Okay, so I knew about the girl side, and there were several other girls who'd said similar things to me. One of her girlfriends had sex with Rick Perry in the Four Seasons. Another girl told me that she had seen a member of Rick Perry's entourage, and that this guy said that he and Rick Perry used to go on the road and pick up girls and basically have orgies back in the hotel room. Now, that's the girl side. But the other side is that Rick Perry has been a closet homosexual for most of his adult life, probably since high school or even Texas A&M, I would guess, and that he's had a lot of gay boyfriends. And one of the rumored ones was a guy named, I believe his name was Jeffrey Connor, who was the Secretary. I may get the name wrong. He was the Secretary of State under Rick Perry. That's a rumored one. And so, Rick Perry came very close to being exposed for his adulterous homosexual lifestyle by the Huffington Post in 2011. They had a story written that had multiple sources on it, and it got canned at the last minute. Rick Perry was literally meeting men off of Craigslist to have anal sex with. So he's a hypocrite. So I bust on him. So there are a lot of Republicans locally who are of the religious right stripe who they really are Christian conservatives, and they don't delve into the sexual underground of Austin or Texas. So they're completely clueless, and they're easily fooled by these psychopaths like Rick Perry and the Bush family, who are worse than Rick Perry is the Bush family, who are just pure vermin. The lowest you can get in politics. So you asked me to comment on that. As for Strauss, I don't know what the guy's up to. I don't know if he's a good husband or a bad husband or a hypocrite or not or a closet gay or not. I simply have no idea. I'll give that man the benefit of the doubt because I haven't heard anything untoward about Speaker Strauss on the personal side of his life.
Okay, let me ask you this, Robert. You consider yourself more libertarian-leaning than conservative, correct?
Yeah, I'm a small L libertarian no matter what party I'm in.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Robert, it's David Adcock, the co-host of the show. I kind of wanted to ask you your thoughts about Benghazi and the whole email scandal with Clinton. And, because, she said, well, first it was all because of a video, and, well, it had nothing to do with the video. It was a planned attack. And, well, now it seems from the last debate that it was both of them, apparently, because, it was a planned attack, and they were just so upset by the video that it all just kind of came together all at one time. You just kind of want to explain any of that?
Yeah, a lot of the current Republican Party and the current right wing is very exercised over Benghazi, but something that I don't know a whole lot about. I do know that Hillary Clinton murdered 76 people at Waco on April 19, 1993, and that it was Hillary, not Janet Reno, who ordered that final assault. So she's a mass murderer. Okay, and she told her boyfriend, Webb Hubbell, to go over to the FBI command center and order the final assault over the objections of Janet Reno. So when people talk about Benghazi and 4 guys got killed there and Hillary lied about the reason for it, I'm like, so what? She killed 55 women and children at Waco. There were 18 kids under the age of 8. They all got incinerated because Hillary Clinton insisted that there be a final assault. You know why? Because she wanted to get Waco out of the headlines so she could go on with destroying American health care. So, Benghazi, of course she's lying, but we already knew that.
What
right?
What about her stance on like NAFTA and free trade? How she always just flip-flopped on that?
Well, wait. We use the word flip-flop. So let's quit pretending that Hillary Clinton and Bill have any type of principles. Okay.
Very true.
So once we know that they don't have any core principles, that all they are just a bunch of power-loving psychopaths who do anything or say anything to get to the top, including beating up people like
Agreed.
Bill Clinton's troopers have done, and breaking into homes like Hillary's thugs have done, and defacing women's cars like Hillary's thugs have done, we can disabuse ourselves that her positions mean anything. So I don't care what she says about a particular issue. She used to be against gay marriage, and she came out for it, right? Mm-hmm. She used to be for NAFTA, now she's against. She's now against the TPP. She came out for the TPP 25 times in a row. Now she's against it. Who cares what she says? Look at what she does.
It's very true.
All right.
She kills people.
Okay, we got a lot of questions I got to ask you, Robert, but let's go to line 2. Steve, you're on with Come and Talk It. What you got for us, sir?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm actually calling you from the great state of Vermont. I saw Mr. Morrow tweeted that he was on, so I had to tune in.
Well, welcome to Texas.
Gun-friendly state. We like Vermont.
So fire away with a question. Love to have you listen in. Give me a big question, my friend.
Okay, sir. I've been reading online that Hillary's been looking at for her a possible running mate. I think he's the congressman from San Antonio, Castro. Now, I have heard
Juan Castro.
Rumblings. I have Joaquin, I think.
Oh, Joaquin. Okay.
Yes, I heard that as well.
I have heard rumblings
so that's a real possibility. Okay, go ahead.
And I have heard rumblings that I have some friends who work in Washington, and some from the area where he's from, and supposedly there's rumblings of a so-called alternative lifestyle.
You mean like he's a closet homosexual?
Yes, sir.
I have no knowledge of that. I'm looking here on the internet. It says his spouse is Ana Flores, who he married in 2013. But a lot of times that doesn't matter. They will marry the women to give themselves a cover, while they're playing around with other men sexually. So I've heard that rumor. I don't have anything, hard on that. I will tell you this. I do think that George W. Bush has been a long time bisexual. That's our current president. I think if you Google Bush, Leola McConnell, a Las Vegas prostitute who used to play around with George W. Bush while he would perform homosexual acts on other men. That's our former president, George Bush, the big Christian guy. His father, George Herbert Walker Bush, is a homosexual pedophile. I know a lot of the listeners are like, this is blowing their mind, but you need to read the book, The Franklin Scandal by Nick Bryant. I'll give you the webpage for that. It's www.franklin.scandal.com, about a homosexual pedophile ring in the 1980s that was pandering young boys to, among other people, Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush. And the other book on that would be The Franklin Cover-Up by John DeCamp. So back to Joaquin Castro, I don't know. Until somebody gives me something kind of firm, I have no opinion on what he's doing or not doing sexually.
Okay, now I would just like to say, when I first heard your story or your claims from the books and things like that, I come from a town, from an area. I'm originally from upstate New York, out near the Niagara Falls area, and if you remember, there was a congressman who was cruising on the gay sites when he claimed to be a big-time Christian from the Western New York area. He had to resign. His name was Chris Lee. I think.
And again, the thing is hypocrisy. No, not the fact
I totally
that they're gay or they're homosexuals. It's the fact they're pretending to be one thing, but they're acting another way. But go ahead.
And I 100% believe you. After what I've seen, where I'm from, I think from everything you say, completely true, if not plausible, if at the very least plausible. I'll say it like that.
I'll tell you more about Old Man Bush. I'm kind of friends with a guy named Ray Hill, who is a 40-year gay activist from Houston, Texas. And in fact, he's been there so long, they're making a documentary about him. He almost died, I think, of a heart attack a year ago.
How can that be so, Robert? Because I hear that, you don't like the gays.
I don't like the hypocrisy, Michael.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
And that's the key thing. And so these married men with wives and children who got a Bible in their hand, who use religious right to get elected, who act all Christian, and they're screwing gay prostitutes, I have a huge problem with that. And Rick Perry would be one of them, and the Bush family would be another one, and anybody who's a politician who's running for office and using their family to get elected, they're screwing their secretary. I got a problem with it.
All right,
okay?
hold on, Robert. Hold on, Steve. We're talking with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican chair-elect. Free your mind. He has something to say. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jack Jones here, and I get my gun news from Michael Cargill on Come and Talk It.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, we're on the phone with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. The election is over. Robert says, hey, he won the election fair and square. There are members in the party that are saying, you know what, they're not going to allow him access everything that the chairs have had access to. And, if you believe in the democratic process, the election is over. What think about this for a second. What if President Obama decided that in January he was not going to step down and allow for the next president to take office? How would you feel about that? It doesn't matter if you like what happened during the election, you like it or you don't like it. The fact that our election has taken place, we have a democracy in this country. And he won the election fair and square. So he deserves to have all powers, everything turned to him when he takes office in June or July, whenever it is. Now, let's go back to Steve real quick. Steve, did you have another question for Robert?
Yes, I did, actually. I would just like to say in the end, first I have one more question, one more comment real fast. The question is, I haven't had a chance to read the book yet, Mr. Morrow, but
you got to read that book, The Clintons' War on Women.
You got to read it because I got to make a little bit of dough. We can make very little money. It's a huge blockbuster book, but how can we help you? Go ahead.
Okay, sir. What is, in your opinion, what is the true story about Hillary Clinton's health, and how serious is it? And also, I would like to say I'm so happy you won, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank Roger Stone as well.
All right. And then also, thank you for your call, Steve.
Okay. A few years ago, before we wrote this book, my friend Roger Stone, he has political friends across the political spectrum. Okay, we're talking Democrats, liberals, even leftists. You would be surprised to know that. Okay, even though he's pretty hardcore libertarian right, kind of like an old Reaganite, now more of a libertarian. So he was talking to well-connected Democrats at a prominent firm in D.C., and they were telling him, Hillary's not even going to run. She has a brain tumor or something very close to a brain tumor, some serious problem with her head, blood clot or whatever, and it's major, and she's not going to run. And based on that, we did not even think Hillary Clinton was even going to run this race because she might even be dead from some sort of a problem. And what do you know? Bill Clinton opens his big mouth about a year or two ago and says, well, you know what? Hillary, after she had her fall, she fell down. She passed out, then she hit her head, right? And it caused like a blood clot, and then it could have killed her almost. He said it took her 6 months to recover from that. Hillary Clinton basically disappeared for 6 months while she was going under very intensive rehab. So she was in a very dire straits. So I don't know what Hillary Clinton's health problem is. I'm sure it's significant. And I think Bill Clinton looks like a guy who's in the process of getting Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dying. So who knows? I'm just saying that you're probably right. It's probably something serious. I don't know what it is, though.
Now, Robert, we have low information voters. Don't you believe that some of this stuff is really too much for people to grasp a hold of?
Well, she hasn't croaked live on stage for us yet. I mean, she may yet do that, or Bill might do that. And if Bill Clinton died, I don't know if Hillary Clinton would go to his funeral or she would go on and keep campaigning through it and send Chelsea to it. That's how much she loves him.
Let me go to line 3. Scott from San Antonio, you're on Come and Talk It. What you got for us, sir?
Oh, Robert, I want to say congratulations on your new office. And I've got a two-part question. One, what do you personally think of Hillary Clinton? And two, if she were the Democratic nominee, who would you like to see her run against and why?
Okay. My personal opinion of Hillary Clinton is that she's a criminal, she's a thug, she's violent, she's a murderer. She murdered 76 people at Waco on her call, not Janet Reno's, her call, 76 dead, incinerated, run over with tanks, gas shot in, burned up, 55 women and children dead, 18 children under the age of 18 dead, Hillary running the terror campaigns on Bill's women. So she doesn't believe in democracy or the law or the democratic process.
So instead of running for president, she should
I do believe she's an angry bull dyke, meaning she likes to have sex with women more so than Bill. And Bill has told many people that, not just one. He's told many people that she's been with more women than I have, is what he says. Okay? So she's not being clear who she is, meaning she's not some sort of a wife of Bill Clinton. So who would I like to see her run against her? I think that any Republican could beat her, except for probably Jeb Bush, and he's already lost. So I think probably Donald Trump has the best chance because he appeals to independents and a few Democrats. But I think that Ted Cruz could beat her as well. But you have to call the Clintons out for the criminal vermin that they are. You can't pussyfoot it with them. You can't hit them on the little stuff. You can't talk about email servers. You have to talk about Waco, the terror campaigns, Bill's serial rapes, Hillary being a rampaging bisexual adulterer, not loyal to Bill, not a victim of Bill, but a perp in his adultery and covering it up. You got to be mean.
Well, you think it's fair for all the governors that have once attacked Trump are now pleading to Trump in letters to Trump, trying to buy their way into Trump's cabinet should he become president-elect, such as Chris Christie. It seems to me that he's trying to fight for a position as vice president. However, with Hillary Clinton still running as Democratic nominee, do you think she belongs behind bars?
I think she belongs behind bars. And by the way, the Secret Service has interviewed me a time or two about the Clintons, and they know what criminal vermin they are, and they also know how rude and disrespectful Hillary is to them on a regular. But the Secret Service hates the Clintons, and they're like rooting for Rob Morrow. Robert, just take her down, defeat her, expose her. The Clintons are vermin, and we're doing the best we can. So it's probably going to be a close election. I give the edge to Trump. That's my personal opinion.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for your time, Robert.
All right, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott.
Congratulations again, by the way.
Hey,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Robert, this is Justin again. I got a few other questions for you. We're talking about the Clintons, and we're talking about all these federal elections. What are you going to do to help us get some of these local corrupt people out of office? Like, for instance, David brought up Joe Strauss earlier. Joe Strauss is certainly a huge problem here in Texas. I mean, he spent $4 million to win 12,000 votes this past primary. I mean, that's over, $245 a vote, $4 million for a position that pays $35,000 a year.
Well, remember, he's also a tool of the Bush family as well. His mother was an early supporter of George Herbert Walker Bush when he ran for U.S. Senate way, way, way back in 1964. That's Strauss's mother. So they're totally plugged into one of the biggest crime families in America. Does not mean that Strauss is a criminal, but I guarantee you his friends in the Bush family are. I don't know how to get rid of Strauss. That's not my job description. As far as locally, we only have a few competitive races that Republicans can win in. Those are the two city council seats. Don Zimmerman on the ballot this year. Ellen Troxclair down south. Gerald Daugherty is in a tight race. Daugherty's district is about 52 Republican, 42 Democrat in a normal year. And then I think there's a Constable 2 race. But most of the other races that we're in are gerrymandered, either to be gerrymandered for a Democrat to win, or in Paul Workman's case, gerrymandered for a Republican to win.
Well, we have won some seats. I mean, we've got Jonathan Stickland. We've got quite a few liberty-minded candidates in there.
Jonathan Stickland, probably the most important politician in Texas right now, even above Ted Cruz, because he is down there at the state capitol protecting your liberty and your wallet 24 hours a day when they're in session.
I absolutely agree with that. And don't you also think that if we were able to get control of our legislature here in Texas, we could shield ourselves from some of the bad decisions they make on a federal level? I mean, that's certainly my hopes.
Yeah, and I see what you're getting about Joe Strauss, but you just had your shot. You had your shot to knock him out in a primary, and you failed. There was big money, okay? And then as far as the Tea Party candidates, I guess it was a mixed bag. Maybe half won, half didn't win, So
we made them spend a lot of money, though, and we're hoping that they're eventually going to go bankrupt. I mean, like, for instance, the Strauss race, like I say, he had I think close to $9 million in his PAC. He had to spend $4 million of that just to get reelected.
Well, he's going to beat his Democrat pretty easily, so that's what the PAC was for, to win a Republican primary. So I'm saying I don't know what to do to get rid of Joe Strauss. That's somebody else's job description.
All right, and we're talking with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. And when we come back from the hard break, we're going to ask Robert about the local issues here in Travis County. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It. All right, we're talking with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. Now, Robert, you are firing shots at people who are thousands of miles away. Now that you are the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect, what are you going to do here in Travis County for the liberty and conservative leaders trying to get elected into the office?
Well, I'm going to be a voice for the liberty movement. We got Don Zimmerman running in city council, and I think it's number 6 in North Austin, or is it 6 or 10? I forget which one. And that's a critical race. So I'm going to encourage everybody here locally, whether you're a Republican, you're a conservative, or you're a libertarian, you need to help Don Zimmerman with volunteer work this fall. That means knocking on doors and making phone calls for him. He's going to need that. I don't know how much money he's going to raise, but he'll be able to raise a good bit. He'll probably be able to get a robust campaign, but he will need the workers. And then for you folks out in the west side of the county, maybe south, I think, Gerald Daugherty's running for re-election. Now, he's not as known as a liberty activist, but he's a good guy. And so if you're more of a standard Republican, you ought to go grab a sign and go campaign for him and make phone calls for him and knock on doors for him. And so that's what I'll do. But remember, most of the other races we're not going to win, my friend. The Libertarian is not going to win the race, and the Republican is not going to win the race, and the Conservative is not going to win the race. But Don Zimmerman is a guy who we can all help out, we can all volunteer for, we can all block walk for and get a good workout in. And that's what I would suggest.
Now, what should be the party's focus this election season?
Zimmerman. It ought to be focused on telling everybody what a criminal vermin that Hillary Clinton is, and how she murdered 76 people at Waco, and how she's covered for a serial rapist her entire life, and how her goons terrorized Kathleen Willey, how she banished Bill Clinton's only son into abandonment. You know, Bill Clinton has a son. Chelsea's not his daughter, but Danny Williams is, spelled D-A-N-N-E-Y Williams. And that's important, Michael, because when the voters locally know what vermin Hillary Clinton is, it drags the ticket down. You will not see an Obama wave come crashing through Travis County if it's Hillary Clinton versus Trump. Not at all.
Now, let me go to a Facebook question here, and it says, how do you think any of your rhetoric or posting of near pornographic images helps anything?
Well, I like big titties. I like women with big breasts and big boobs, and I think they're beautiful, like beautiful, busty brunettes. And dang it, we live here in America and have a right to do that. And so that's one of my platforms as the face of the Travis County Republican Party. I'm for beautiful women with big boobs. That's the way it's going to be.
All right, and don't use the T word. All right. So, let's see. Now,
well, the A word, but go ahead.
All right, now
does that answer the question right there?
Absolutely.
You know, I just don't care about folks who have a problem with my hobbies and interests and enthusiasts, and that's one of them. So go ahead.
Okay, and then another online question is on September the 17th, 2013, you tweeted this little tweet here. You said, I have been having incredible urges to lick peanut butter off of Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's because Bill Clinton doesn't, okay? Bill Clinton has never had those urges, but, you know, occasionally I want to tell you something, Michael. This is Governor Clinton of Arkansas right here. I've been out campaigning for my wife so hard all over the country. I've never seen her in 2 years, but she's a wonderful lady. And I want you and Robert Morrow and Michael Cargill, all you people together and vote for her. Do you know why?
Why?
Because me and Shanika, we're going to vote for Donald Trump. So we need you to vote for my wife.
Okay.
So I like to kid around on Facebook, and obviously I don't have an urge to lick peanut butter off Hillary Clinton. It shows my disrespect for her, you know, and so that's why I post a lot of these vile things on the Internet regarding Hillary Clinton and Barbara Bush, because I have no respect for the Clintons or the Bushes. I like to ridicule and make fun of them. You know?
When you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, and you post these things, it's mainly because you're just making fun of these issues and these people.
Yeah, I'm ridiculing them. See, Hillary's hero was Saul Alinsky, and Saul Alinsky said that ridicule is one of the most potent weapons you can use against these criminal vermin in office. It's true.
And now, obviously, you actually have a lot of support here in Travis County because you won the election. And I honestly don't think, you may think that some people did not vote for you or voted for you because you're the first name on the ballot. But, you know, when I ask around, you know, and I actually sat in the Travis County Republican chair meeting last week, and I asked a bunch of people, and you actually had a lot of support in that room that were sitting on their hands. So
that's okay. Well, you know, because I have made, you know, numerous vile and nasty remarks on social media, because, again, I hate the Bushes and I hate the Clintons, and I will be as mean and nasty to those criminals.
But do you feel that you're putting people in a certain position to separate themselves from you because of some of the things that you're posting on social media? That you're putting them in that position.
But that's just tough cookie, and that's just what comes with the territory with me. I will tell you this: you made a point. There's a point you're making that
right.
I do have a good bit of support in Travis County. There are a lot of people who are absolutely delighted that I am the incoming chair-elect of the Travis County Republican Party, both within the party and especially outside, especially in the Liberty Movement and even among independents and some Trump people. And so you got to take the good with the bad. And that's the way it is. There will be no more of a tireless fighter for the Liberty Movement than me, and no greater tireless fighter against Bush Clinton than Robert Morrow. I guarantee you that.
All right.
Now, The Travis County Republican Party, they just passed a resolution the other night. Are you familiar with the resolution they passed?
Yeah, it was a resolution condemning me on profanity, which I can understand. It also said, like, slander. I don't slander anybody. I tell the truth about these vermin that a lot of those people were supporting, namely the Bush family. That's my number one political enemy, Bushes. Okay, it's not even Rick. Rick Perry just disgusts me. The Bushes, I truly hate. Okay, and I hate them. And you folks need to listen why. Because Old Man Bush has a long, dirty criminal history involvement with the CIA. He covers up the JFK assassination. I'm not saying he was involved, but he knows that Lyndon Johnson and the CIA killed John Kennedy, and he covers it up. So he covers that up. He was involved in 1980 with October Surprise when the Reagan campaign made a treasonous deal with the Iranians to keep the hostages until after the election. That's two. Old Man Bush, meaning the old guy, George Herbert Walker Bush, he's known as Poppy Bush, he was running Iran-Contra and billions of dollars of cocaine into America in the 1980s, while Nancy Reagan, who just passed away, was saying, just say no. Bush, Clinton, and Oliver North were saying, just bring in the blow. 1992, George Herbert Walker Bush was very seriously thinking about assassinating Ross Perot because Ross Perot knew about the drugs, was incensed about the drugs, and was having a huge behind-the-scenes battle with Old Man Bush over our government running drugs into America in the 1980s. He's also, when I say he, Old Man Bush, a homosexual pedophile, likes to have sex with boys. Read the book, The Franklin Scandal and The Franklin Cover-Up. He was heavily involved in facilitating the cover-up of a homosexual pedophile ring. That's when you have sex with people who are under the age of consent. That's what a pedophile does. Okay, so his son Jeb was running drugs in the 1980s. His son George W. got us into that criminal war in Iraq. They're just rotten to the core. The Bush family is rotten, evil, vile vermin. This comes from Robert Morrow, the Republican chair-elect of the Travis County Republican Party. A full-on frontal assault on the Bush family and their buddies in crime, the Clintons. What you're going to get from me.
You know what drives me nuts? I was there the other night when they adopted the resolution,
sure.
and one of the things they were trying to vote on as well is whether or not to go on the record and put their name, the precinct chairs of who voted for the resolution. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not ashamed of what you're voting for or what it is you're doing, you put your name on it. And that's the one thing that kind of drove me nuts about that meeting the other night is that they voted to not go on the record and put their names down there so that you and the constituents they serve would know how they voted.
Well, that's not a big issue to me because I'm really not going to be taking retribution against them, letting off their steam. I don't really care, okay? It's water off my back. But I really am disappointed that there are people in that room who are supporters of one of the worst criminal families in modern American history, and that is the Bush family. By the way, I voted for George W. Bush in 98 for governor and for president 2000 and for president through 2004. Okay, so I'm part of the problem, putting them in power. I'll never, ever do that again. I cannot believe that George P. Bush is the land commissioner. I'm not saying that George P. is a murderer or a drug dealer. I'm saying he comes from a crime family. And he would never be where he was except for the fact that his family are criminals who've networked their way to the highest part of American society where they're unaccountable. And they're also friends with the Clintons. How disgusting is that? What decent Republican runs around giving Hillary Clinton a medal called the Liberty Medal for her allegiance to the Constitution? Jeb Bush did that. That's the father of George P. Bush. Did George P. Bush speak out when his dad was legitimizing the Clinton crime family? No, because they're on the same page and they're on the same team, and you folks are being played for it. Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton. It's insane.
Now, Robert, how is that going to help, though, the people that are here in Travis County get elected into different offices?
Well, they're not going to, Michael. Okay, the Republicans in Travis County are the equivalent of neutered gerbils. Okay, they let me get elected with 56% of the vote, and I've been at their throats for 10 years now. Okay, they can't stop me. They can't stop a Democrat. However, what we can do is help out Don Zimmerman to win a tight race for city council in the fall. We really can do that. We're just by throwing volunteers into that, we can help out Gerald Daugherty, who is a long-time public citizen, civic leader for Travis County for decades. He's been here since the late 60s. He's a very nice man, even with people who you may disagree with politically. We can help him out. But, Michael, you got to understand the rest of them are going to lose. Who cares, okay? They're going to lose, and I don't really care about that. They can yap all they want to. They're going to lose.
All right, we're talking with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. And this is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It. All right, and we're on with Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect. Robert, if Don Zimmerman had never won his first election, would you have backed him in the first place? So why not support the other candidates that are running for election now throughout the county?
They're going to lose. Like who? If they're running county-wide, they're going to lose, okay? Zimmerman's in a district that it's 50% Republican or 51% Republican. Gerald Daugherty's in a district that's 52% Republican, okay? If you're in a district that is 60% majority Democrat, and a lot of them are, you're simply not going to win over a Democrat, whether you're a Libertarian or whether you're a Republican.
Yeah, but
okay?
just because they're red.
The hard, cold reality. You could spend $2 million in a state rep race as Republican against Donna Dukes. You're going to lose.
I agree that's an uphill battle.
In a state rep race, you would lose.
I agree that's an uphill battle, but just because 60% of them are registered as Democrat does not mean that 60% of them are going to vote. And statistically, normally only about 20% of registered voters actually do vote.
Hey, I've been at this game for a very long time in Travis County. The voting patterns are very resilient, and we're in a Democratic county now. So you could have a corpse running the Travis County Republican Party, and the Republican baseline vote would be somewhere between 35 and 38%. I think we had a low of like 32 one time, and when Bush was running, George Bush actually pulled in 42% of the vote in Travis County in 2004. But who cares? You know, he's a crime figure. You know, so.
This year though, the numbers are quite positive though. I mean, amongst because I monitor a lot of the primary stuff, and I mean, there's several locations where we're up 50%. So I mean, it's very possible we could have a huge Republican turnout this time around.
If Donald Trump's at the top of the ticket, you will see Republicans in Texas and Travis County do better than expected, because there will be a Trump wave coming through. He is literally pulling in not tons of Democrats, but enough Democrats, and tons of independents, and tons of people who just do not participate in the political process at all. That's like free money. That's like free gravy. But it won't be enough to win, against Donna Howard or against Donna Dukes or the Elliott Neistat seat for state rep. But it could help out Gerald Daugherty, and it could help out Donald Zimmerman. The Trump wave could. But we're going to have a Trump wave. Get ready for it, folks. It'll be here in the fall.
Now, who did you actually support in the Republican primary?
I endorsed Ted Cruz because he's a hardcore conservative, but he's losing to Trump, and if you keep losing, you're not the winner. And so pretty soon the Republican Party needs to gather around Donald Trump. He's not perfect, He's not a libertarian like me, right? And he's not perfectly religious right like some other Republicans. But if you want to beat the Clintons, if you want to flush the toilet on the American political system, we're already halfway done. We got the Bush fecal matter into the pipes right now, and now we need to get the Clinton fecal matter flushed down, and Trump would be a great way to do that.
All right, so would you like to see a Trump-Cruz ticket?
Doesn't matter to me. Trump-Cruz would be fine, but since he's called him like crazy and unstable, he's probably not going to pick him. Maybe a Trump-Ben Carson.
So you like Carson as well?
Trump-Ted Nugent.
So you like Ben Carson?
Yeah, I mean that would be a good balance out to the ticket. You gotta reach out to a different part of the party. But people don't vote on. Actually, they do. They normally do not vote on the bottom of the ticket. But when Sarah Palin got added to John McCain in 2008, it got McCain 3 million more votes. So, but the main thing is they're going to be voting on Trump versus Hillary, and even though the polls are underwater right now, we're still very early. We're March 13th right now. I think by June you're going to start to see, when Trump starts going after Clinton with guns a-blazing, he's going to use our book, The Clinton's War on Women. You folks need to get that book because Donald Trump has tweeted about it and talked about it because it has a lot of the dirt on the Clintons that we're going to have to just expose them with the millennials. So it's going to be a close race, but I think Trump will win. That's my personal opinion.
Why do you suppose Rand Paul dropped out so early?
Because he was fixing to lose his Senate seat. Look, if you can't, I was there in Iowa making phone calls for him for a couple of days, and if he performed so poorly in Iowa, where he is organized and where his father did well 4 years before, he was just going to be wasting money. And you've heard that expression about "don't pee in the wind." He was peeing in the wind, and he had to get out so he could get back into his Senate race and reclaim that. So we would at least have a somewhat of a liberty person in the U.S. Senate. That's the harsh reality. So let me look up right now the political odds on Trump versus Cruz. If you go to a website called electionbettingodds.com, we have Donald Trump with a 70% chance of being the Republican nominee, and Ted Cruz 13, and Kasich 7, and little Marco at 3%. That's reality. So the reality is Trump is winning, and if he has a big day on Tuesday, even more so. They're not going to stop him unless they want to commit GOP suicide.
Which do you think that would be a brokered convention? Which I kind of believe we're going to have a brokered convention because I don't think Rubio is going to drop out. Obviously, Cruz isn't. I think it's going to lead to a brokered convention, which is why I kind of wish that Rand Paul would have at least stuck in. Maybe not hit the campaign trail as hard.
Rand was going to lose his Senate seat if he did not get out and start campaigning for it. That's the reality.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I agree he should have stayed on the Senate seat, but what I'm saying is don't publicly say that the campaign is over with and continue to steal delegates. Go to that brokered convention to where we could interject the liberty message, you know what I'm saying, amongst the brokered convention.
Yep. And the other website on political odds right now has Donald Trump at a 69% chance of being elected, and Ted Cruz at 20 of being the Republican nominee, and Ted Cruz at 26, and Kasich at 7. So back to, I'm going to allay your fears. Okay, the Republicans are not going to go into the convention at Cleveland, is that where it's at, and they're not going to take it away from Donald Trump if he has a strong plurality of delegates. Here's why they're not going to do that. Because if they did that, the Trump voters are going to open up a can of whoop ass on the Republican Party, and you could see the Republican House be lost, you could see the Republican Senate be lost, and you would see whoever replaced Donald Trump as a nominee lose too. You would have a trifecta of L's. They're not going to do that.
Well, they're not scared to change the rules, as you know. I mean, the reason Romney
didn't... They're not suicidal.
I know, but the reason
Republican
Romney...
senators and Republican House members who may not love Donald Trump, but who understand that if they screw him, they are dead meat.
I think it was a similar situation with Ron Paul, even though Trump has a bigger...
is far stronger than Ron Paul ever was.
I would agree that he has a lot more excitement on his campaign trail, but yes, I think it's a similar situation, just bigger.
It's not really similar because Ron Paul was not winning primary after primary after primary after primary after primary. He was losing them, my friend, losing them. He won a few, maybe, okay, but he was losing them. He was only winning caucuses and stuff, so it's not the same thing. Donald Trump is probably going to win Florida. He might win Ohio. He might win North Carolina. He's going to have a big day on Tuesday. Ron Paul is not doing that. That is why, because he is in a so much stronger of a position than Ron Paul ever was, the Republican Party would literally have to be on a suicide mission to deny him at the convention because it would endanger the House and the Senate. I think the smarter ones have figured out there's actually going to be a benefit to having Donald Trump at the top of the ticket. Eventually, that little light bulb will come off, and when that does, you'll see this kind of talk quiet down. That's my personal opinion.
All right, I want to thank Robert Morrow, the Travis County Republican Party chair-elect, for coming on the show, and he is the author of The Clinton's War on Women. So definitely grab that book and take a look at it and decide for yourself. Man, thank you, Robert. I appreciate you coming on today.
I had a blast, Michael.